the minute I walked into the waiting room, there was this wonderful atrium in the cancer center in the Bennington Hospital in Vermont. So you walk into this, and one wall within the waiting room is all windows into this atrium. So all of this wonderful sunlight is coming into this room. And I remember I was sitting there with Tim and another friend of ours who wanted to come with us. And the first thing I realized was, I started realizing how important it was to me, and I'm sure to so many other people going through this journey. Even the atmosphere within that room that you have to sit and wait is so important and plays such a vital part in your healing and how open you are to where you are at that moment. And I'm sitting in this waiting room to see this new oncologist, and this sunlight is pouring in. And I got up and I started walking around, and I was looking. There was a puzzle out for people to put together that while they wait. There were pictures of the oncologists and the nurses. And I noticed the picture of my oncologist that I was going to see. And it was a picture of her standing next to her horse. And I remember looking at that photo, that framed photo within the waiting room, thinking, oh my God, I'm in the right place. And so we got called to go into the room, and we sit down and we're waiting. The nurse does her thing of checking all the vitals and everything and the questions. And then the oncologist walked in. And the minute she walked in, I just knew this was where I needed to be before she even said hello. And she started off by saying, you know, Michael, I'm going to share with you what I read in your records that I got. And she shared everything that she saw, that she read about. And then she turned looked at me and she goes, all right, Michael, can you please share your journey with this disease? And I sat there, first of all, thinking, no one's ever asked me that. And so I shared, and I shared about my struggle with the drug. I shared about everything that I was kind of dealing with and all the different things that I was doing. And she was thrilled with me doing the yoga. She was thrilled that I was doing acupuncture and was also doing Reiki. And she was extremely thrilled because she knows my energy doctor, John, because she actually sends some of her patients there for him. And we left it at, she goes, you know, Michael, if you'd like to come over, you know, come back in a few weeks, we'll make an appointment, we can do some blood work. And then she said, you and I will sit down and we'll talk about whether, if, or even when you would be willing to do another drug. Because as I sat with her and I told her that I had already told my other oncologist that I had decided to stop the other drug. And so at that point, I went back to my other oncologist. And it would have been very easy for me, and the person who I was, not ever liking confrontation or disappointing other people, it would have been very easy for me to pick up the phone and just say to the office, I'm not coming back. But something inside of me said I needed to go and have a conversation with my oncologist. And I went, and I sat down with her, and I think she sensed something was up because it was a whole different person. And we talked, and we parted on very, very good terms. And I think I learned from her, because what I learned from her was how important that relationship between myself and my doctor is. And that I have every right and every power within me to sit there and say, this is what I'm feeling. This is what I'm seeing. This is where I want to go. And that was something I never, ever would have done with a doctor. And that was the gift she gave me. And so at that point, I had stopped the drug, and I was doing all holistic. I was going every 3 months for my checkups. Blood work, everything was excellent. I was even talking to somebody about my nutrition and my diet. I was really feeling like I got me back. And I think that was one of the most important gifts I gave myself, was I gave myself me back. And I spoke up, and I stood up, and I told people how I felt. And so the path was like really morphing into this phenomenal unfolding of a path I never would have thought journeying on.